you. Welcome everybody to our 11th session of Rethink Yourself. Actually, this would be the 12th. Uh, we didn't include the last week's session where we discussed about Damodar Leela. So we are trying to imbibe the teachings of Gita in our daily life via Rethink Your Life series. Last week also is the revelation, but it's not in this Rethink. So next week onwards, we are going to switch to the next topic, that is, does God care? So this week we will quickly revise what we learned so far. Let's start with the Mangalacharan. You can also recite with me. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुक्तापादकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्वसे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वतदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पदे गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So this week we are going to basically focus on two things. One is revise, not to lose track of where were we and what are we discussing before moving on to the next topic. So the next thing is concluding who is God discussion. So last week we have asked to memorize the verses in fourth chapter. Anyone got a chance to memorize or recite practice 4.1 to 6? Yes, no? If it is no, that's fine. We take out some time to remember what is the content in each verse, and memorizing or reading it is very auspicious because it's Krishna's words. Also, it is very auspicious to recite, memorize. And whenever there is a need comes and you are practicing Bhagavad Gita, you are learning Bhagavad Gita, it is always good to refer and quote those verses during your discussion. Hey, you know what? Here in fourth chapter 4.1 or 4.2, Krishna says like this. This is not coming out, or I am not cooking up the story. I am not saying it from my own uh, speculation. This is what Krishna says, and I'm repeating it. So take take some time out of your regular schedule, maybe daily 5 minutes. If you recite the six verse, just six verse and translation, you can proceed just with 5 minutes. Within 10 days or 15 days, you can able to know and recollect what is there without much effort. It's not required, as it's not like school when we want to recite, memorize the verses for our examination. We will have the book and read it aloud again and again. Just take out 5 minutes daily basis, read it once. That's enough. So let's go back and see what we discussed. We started this series of rethink yourself or rethink your life with this picture. We asked everybody what is that one point coming out of their mind when they look into this picture. So everybody gave a different answers, different views. What is the right view to see from their mindset? We discussed we are the user and Krishna is the creator. If I have a particular gadget, say I have iPhone and I ran into any issue, I couldn't fix by myself. I searched Google, nothing helps. Then what I will do is I can call the customer care service center or take my iPhone to the Apple store to figure out what is the issue, why is it not working. Similarly, Krishna is the manufacturer of the world. We need to look from his perspective, how he developed this world and what is his worldview. That concept we can get out from his own words, Bhagavad Gita. But right now, with many sources, these things are polluted and our consciousness got distracted to something else which is really not needed. That's where we need to depend on our supreme person's words or manufacturer's word, how he developed his product. Then only when we are using it, we might know, oh, these features are there. I am not sure, I haven't used it so far, so we can use it accordingly. So with this concept, we moved on what were the impacting factors of the current destruction or current distraction in our view. So these are the main points we discussed. It's destruction of our Indian education system by invaders. And now where we are basically we are feeling ashamed to do our daily rituals and worship, even to follow our culture, to say that this is per my custom, this ritual I am doing it per my custom. That itself we are feeling ashamed to say it. And we discussed even like we went deep inside like where and why, even if we need to put a tilak or Kiran told something in Telugu, I forgot. It's Pradeep or Kiran, can you tell me what is that white thing which you use? The
Uh,
Vibhuti,
vibhuti,
Vibhuti.
yeah.
kumkum,
Vibhuti is common in, yeah, vibhuti is common in my
bottu.
mother tongue also. Yeah, this vibhuti, the white thing you will apply now, we are feeling ashamed to even put that. And we might sometimes feel that, oh, I am wearing this to office. My colleagues or of other religion, what they will think. So I don't want to put them in a embarrassing spot, or I don't want them to feel uncomfortable if I'm wearing this kumkum or like doing some rituals or following my culture that would make others uncomfortable. And the secular country, we are defining secularism in a different way. Don't give any opportunity to any other religion. And that's where we intentionally keeping the holy places unclean, over consuming with other things, so making it dirty or making it to go down. And TV, internet, Bollywood, mobile phone, the social media influences and influence from West and influence from our society and friends. Basically, this place is to enjoy, party the life. Life means eat, marry, enjoy. I'm going to live a short life. I just want to enjoy to the core. I don't care about anything. That's what the main important factor which impact and where we are now. And many movies are also showing like Bollywood, Hollywood movies, and our favorite heroes are trying to show that a life is this to enjoy. So we are just blindly following that. And this is very amazing analogy or amazing picture we discussed. This is from Mahabharat. Anyone able to remember or recollect what each one represent? Maybe what is that elephant represent? Let me check your memory. And if that is tough, what is snake? What is honeybees? Rat? Anything? Give it a try. I'll help you out. Yeah, Pradeep.
Yeah, rat represents days and night, day and night,
Yeah, perfect.
and the snake represents our problems, everyday problems. I think
Mm-hmm.
the honey represents the materialistic luxury,
Wow, you remember a lot. That's nice. Awesome.
and the elephant. I don't know. Maybe that's the
Mm-hmm.
earth. Earth. I don't know.
It's
I
the
don't know.
death.
Earth. Oh, is the death? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a common man. He was chased by elephant. He got so scared. Oh my God, the elephant is chasing. He was running, running, and about to fell inside the well. At the time, he holded the uh, tree, and that is also that branch is also about to fall down. And underneath, he is having a lot of snake, but still, he is so much into tasting the or licking the honey falling from that honeycomb. This analogy perfectly fits to our common man, current common man. Here, what is that man represent? It represent us, ourselves. And we are struck in this precarious condition of this material world samsara, as Pradeep highlighted. Our death, that is in the form of elephant, is chasing us continuously. It will not leave us without devouring us. So the black and white rat represent day and night, respectively, and they are slowly reducing our age. Those snakes underneath that represent big obstacle in our life, and these honeybees represent the day-to-day problem we face in our life, and the sweet honey represent the pleasure of this world. I think I covered everything. And in these pleasure licking honey, we are forgetting the other side. Krishna is giving his hand to help us. So in this great epic Mahabharata, once Maharaj Yudhishthira, the son of Dharmaraj, is the embodiment of all good qualities. We know him. For this reason, for following these good qualities, he is also referred as Ajata Shatru, which means one who has no enemies. In many of the conversation, Yudhishthira reveals his deep understanding of Vedic scripture and practical applications. There was one incident happened when they were in the forest, while living in the exile in the forest. Yudhishthira finds that while attempting to drink water from a lake, all his brothers have been killed. by a mysterious Yaksha. So when Yudhishthira arrives there, Yaksha challenges him to answer questions or else face the same consequences. You answer my question or you will also die. So during the discussion, the question and answer session, it was like a Vedic sutras. They are very practical, very deep, very religiosity. So one of the question Yaksha asked Maharaj Yudhishthira is, what is the most wonderful thing according to you? Yudhishthira Maharaj is giving an answer. The most amazing thing is that even though every day one sees countless living entities dying, he still thinks and acts as if he will live forever. That is the most wonderful thing. That is also happening for us, even if you take this current lifetime, like current period, we are seeing so many deaths because of corona. So many are going to hospital and they don't know whether they are getting back or not, but still we are seeing everything, but still we are thinking that, oh no, I want to earn more. Earning more is not a matter, but at the same time we should also give preference to our spirituality of our, or to our soul, which is the real who we are. So from that we came over here, the correct worldview, look from perspective of Gita or Vedic scriptures. Then we will establish a connection with God, make way back to home, back to Godhead. That is a permanent home. This is what we discussed in the first topic, how I believe, does it matter? From there, we move on to the next topic, who is God. So there we discussed about how Bhagavad Gita is divided, and we also discussed about two things: how to know God by reasoning or revelation. We discussed about backward reasoning, forward reasoning, and why is that revelation matter? Because revelation provide knowledge about himself. That is the perfect knowledge. And in this Who is God series, we concluded, yeah, there are different section in Bhagavad Gita, but still Krishna take a detour in fourth chapter, in first few verses where he is revealing about himself. Let's see about God and what Krishna is saying in those verses. The first point, maybe I will bring up the verse. I hope you can able to see the verse. So this is the first words we discussed. It's Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivashvate Yogam Proktavanaham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. The personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So, as we have the regular participant here, I just want to open up the forum to ask you, what is that your takeaway, or what is that you are thinking the important point in this verse, or what strikes you most like, yeah, this is what Krishna is saying in this verse. I have put together a few points, but I just want to get your thoughts also before proceeding to show what I captured. So first answer is already out. Why science of yoga was given to the leaders? Maybe when you think about your point, I hope everybody would be having the hard copy of Bhagavad Gita with you, or you can refer vedabase.com. So the first point, what is yoga? Yoga, it's basically a bigger version, not just the fitness one which we know now. It is basically the fitness one we are doing is a byproduct of a bigger one, yoga. That yoga means connection with God. So why that science of God, or why the science of yoga was given to leaders? So that they rule the subject properly and help to come out of the bondage and may make others the citizens way back to home. Say for example, we are here in Jersey City, and instead of crossing the river by Holland Tunnel or like by Lincoln Tunnel, if I'm taking the path of that river, Hudson River, I need to cross and go to NY. How will I go there? If I leave the attachment of my home, attachment of whatever here in Jersey, an attachment to lust and greed, etc., I can proceed to the next side of NY. If I'm not giving up my attachment with New Jersey or whatever here in New Jersey, I won't even think in my mind to cross or even to touch the river bank this side. So if I take the boat and go across the river, then only I can reach the NY city. So there is a verse in Bhagavatam, Gurur nasasyat swajano nasyat, pita nasyaj, janani nasyaj. Daivam na tatsyat, na patischa satyat, na mochayet yak samupeta mrityum. One who cannot deliver his dependent from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, husband, mother, or worshipable demigods. So we falls in any one of this. So this Bhagavad Gita is also useful for me because I have a kid, I have a husband, I have a wife, I am a mother, I am a wife of someone. So I also has the responsibility to deliver my dependents from this path of birth and death. Anyone else? Any points you grabbed from first verse of fourth chapter? You can refer your book or database. Is everyone with me?
Yes, you can continue. Nothing.
Okay. So the next point I took is it useful for me? If someone say Bhagavad Gita is not useful, it was spoken long back, and that too to a king. How it should useful for me? I am a housewife. I am basically a business person, or I am a project manager or a project lead. Likewise, you can refer to this 4.1. Why should I read? You can see this because you fit in any one of this. It's your duty to deliver your dependent. So you should read this. So yesterday was like a lot of celebration, and it was like a election got over, the results got over, and Biden got elected. He should be given this knowledge. Then he can lead the people the way he should supposed to lead, because leaders definitely need to take inspiration from Bhagavad Gita. How can I use this knowledge? If someone asks you these questions, why should I use? Is it useful for me? Why is it given to leaders? How can I use it? You can directly refer to 4.1, why. So 4.1 gives you the answer of why is it needed. So moving on to the next verse, 4.2. I'm sorry, I lost the, yep. Anybody wanna recite and read the translation?
Yeah, I can do it. Yeah.
Sure.
Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu sakarena mahata yogo nastah parantapa.
Translation also, Pradeep.
Yeah. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost.
Thank you. So, what is that we are getting it from 4.2? How Raja Rishis are getting this knowledge. Okay, Raja Rishis are getting. Before going into how, we should know who is Raja Rishi. The general definition of Raja Rishi means he is a king, but he turned into a royal sage. How does that? Confusing. He is a king or a sage. So a Raja Rishi will not have to leave the kingship to become a Rishi. As an example is Vishwamitra Muni. He left his kingdom, he went to the forest and became a Muni. He became a Brahma Rishi. But the one Raja Rishi is still ruling the kingdom and has reached a state of Rishi and has attained self-realization. Best example is Janaka Maharaj. King Janaka was also known as Raja Rishi because having spiritually advanced and reached the state of the Rishi, though he was a king administrating the kingdom of Mithila, which means what? Okay, he is self-realized and he is ruling. How does that matter? Why he need to get the knowledge? Because when he attained the self-realization and he is following the dharmic path and religious path and ruling, not even a single person had any problem. Everyone were happy. It doesn't mean that he is giving some liquor or drugs or illicit places to engage people in this irreligious activities to make them happy. The Rajarishis engaging the people in a good way, in devotional service way, to keep the people happy. Another example is Prahlad Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj, after his name only, the entire universe was named as Bharat Varsha. Now the Bharat is a little bit space. Earlier it was a big vast land. When Prithu Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, these are the Raja Rishis. Proper way of acquiring knowledge is by the disciplic succession. Why these Raja Rishis are getting this knowledge? As we discussed, these knowledge should be given to them in a proper disciplic succession. So this is the disciplic succession. As you are seeing, the Vedic wisdom come down in disciplic succession through a chains of gurus from the beginning of creation. You can see the chain is not broken. Why? Nowadays, many apasampradayas popping out. What is that apasampradaya means? There is no proper route. You can't see a route at all. Here, if you see, it is starting from Krishna and we have that chain coming. Without that, maybe someone here just it's saying that I am a god, so I know everything, just follow me. If we ask him like, where is, show your route, who's your guru, who is your guru, he can't able to say it. But here you can see like, yes, everybody, whoever you ask, they can refer to their guru, previous guru, and that chain goes linked back to Krishna. That is the proper way or disciplic succession. That is the proper sampradaya. We discussed multiple times about the four bona fide sampradayas. Bona fide means what? It is recognized. Say, for example, if you are going to put an admission for your kids, then you will definitely check the bona fide of the university of the college. Because why? Then only they will have the proper teachers to teach them. Once completion of their studies, they will get a good job. If your kids are in the bogus university, that's it, their life is ruined. They won't get job. He won't be qualified. The time he spent there in that university for their studies, everything will be gone waste. So there are four bona fide sampradayas: Sri Sampradaya, Kumara Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Brahma Sampradaya. ISKCON follows Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, as you are seeing in this chart, this picture. So moving on to the next verse, 4.3. Please stop me if you are getting any other points other than what I'm saying. Anyone else want to read? The verse and the translation? Okay. स एवायं मया तेद्या योगप्रोक्तः पुरान्तनः भक्तोऽसि मे शका चेति रहस्यं हि एतदुत्तमम्. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So here we are getting to know that this secret is revealed to Arjuna. To whom does he reveals? Who is Arjuna? Arjuna is his friend and devotee. Krishna loves his devotee. He is a Bhakta Vatsala. Duryodhan disrespected Krishna multiple times, but he didn't care. Okay, he just left it. But when Arjuna was about to killed by Bhishma, Krishna broke his own vow and lifted this chariot wheel. He was running towards Bhishma to kill Bhishma. And that time, Arjuna was, you could have seen in the pictures or in the movies, like Arjuna would be begging in his footstep with Krishna was holding his big chariot wheel in his hand. And other side was Bhishma would be standing. So Bhishma was even telling, like, you care for your devotee. Arjuna was telling, please don't broke the vow for me, for my sake. Then the world will humiliate you or make fun of you. Here, Krishna himself saying in Bhagavad Gita, I think in chapter 9, Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashyati, which means he is telling Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So if he is like, if I say I might break, but if my devotee say something, I am ready to do anything for my devotee. He is the Bhakta Vatsala. So any example you can think as such, like if devotee say something and Krishna is there to fulfill. Anything comes in your mind? Any example? I think I am not cooking up the story as he is a Bhakta Vatsala. You might also heard some stories from the scriptures. Anything anyone of you can relate where Krishna did something to fulfill his devotees' words, as because the devotee told, okay, he told, he is my devotee, I am doing it for them. Any examples? Nothing comes in your mind? Okay, I'll just say one example. As soon as I hear Bhakta-Vatsala, it comes to my mind is Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Hiranyakashipu was asking Prahlad Maharaj, where is your God? Is he here? Is he here? Is he here? Show me. Is he in this pillar? Show me. Prahlad Maharaj said, yes, he is here. He is here. He is everywhere. Hiranyakashipu asked, like, is he in this pillar? Prahlad says, yes, yes, Dad, he is here in this pillar. So Prahlad says that my worshipable deity is here everywhere. So Hiranyakashipu just broke that pillar, and just to prove his devotee's word to be true, Narsim Bhagavan came out of that pillar. And we have a famous place, that Ahobilam in Andhra Pradesh. They have the Ukrastampa and they have all the forms of Narsimadev over there. So just for to prove that Prahlad, his devotee's words, Bhagavan came out from the pillar. Say if we are having an influential person in your office, say he has got all the power, your manager or your vice president, or some influential person in your home, like your brother-in-law or sister-in-law's family, friend, who are having so much power, then we will try to have a good relationship with him. Why? If you are good with them, then through them we will be benefited. If it is an office, we might ask for promotion, salary, hike, bonus through that person. If it is in our home, relation side, we can make use of it like, hey, can you do this favor? Can you do this or that? So we will think to have that good relationship with the most influential person. So think about, you are having or you got to know a most influential person who is ruling a city, mayor or governor. It's like, wow, is it? Then I can get things done quicker. Whatever things I want, I'm waiting in the government office can be done in a minute. Let's take one step ahead. What about, the countries, rulers? Think about it. The PM or president. It's super awesome. Think about a person who's ruling the entire planet. If you want to get in touch with them, you will get things done anywhere. Think about a person who's ruling hundreds of universes like this, Brahmaji. And think about a person who Brahma even reports to. It's the supreme person, supreme personality of Godhead. What to say? If we are in touch with him, just not only materially, spiritually, things can happen just like that. But our right mood should be, we are humbly serving the supreme personality of Godhead. We are surrendering to him. But even though if you are having material needs and wishes, you can ask him. He will do the needful. If you are sincere, you will get the reciprocation. Reciprocation, obviously, if you are doing your work nicely at office, you will get the reciprocation from your manager of good hike or promotion or good rating. This is the performance year ending. So you will get, you all know about, you might be discussing with your managers about your rating and appraisal. So for the amount of dedication, amount of work you are doing at office, you will get the reciprocation from your boss. The amount of dedication and amount of hard work you are putting at home within the relationship, your better part or your kids, you will get the reciprocation in form of a love from them. Similarly, if you are sincere, dedicated, and hardworking, in the sense hardworking in your sadhana, Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. Moving on to the next verse, just 4.4. Arjuna Uvacha Param Bhavato Janma Param Janma Vivashvataha Katam Etad Vijnayam Tvam Adau Proktavaniti. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivashvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? So here Krishna is asking this question. Why is this Arjuna asking this question? Say, if it is a interview or a show, the host might already aware of the answer, but still he asks the interviewer, like, what is it? Tell about yourself, because he knows already. but he is asking the question so audience would know more about him. The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them, Arjuna is inquiring this point. So if Krishna says something, then Krishna words are authoritative. So his words are authoritative. Next, when Krishna himself speak about himself, it is auspicious for all the worlds. Also, Arjuna is proving to be an ideal student here. Ideal student? Yeah, in chapter 4, 34th verse, it says, Tatviti praniparatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. The meaning is just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from them submissively, and render service unto him. The self realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So you should ask submissively, not in a way to challenge. Hey, how can I believe that you are there? You are just here. I know your parents. I know when is your birthday. Is it true? He's not in a doubtful or challenging way. He's asking the question in a submissive way. Could you please let me know? How is it? I don't know that. Moving on to the next verse. Anybody has got any other thoughts why Arjuna asked this question? It's boring for me. Like I'm only talking. Someone? Any other points? Wow.
Just to
Thank you so
remove.
much, Pradeep.
No,
Finally, I got a break
I think just to remove the doubts from from us.
from us. So
We-
we might have that question in our mind. So for us, Arjuna is representing us. Like if we are a team leader, school people leader, we might represent our classmates, our teammates in that way. Thank you. Moving on to the next verse. Anyone wanna read it? The verse and translation.
Okay, I'll read it if no one's reading. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Let me zoom in. Okay. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam veta parantapa vetya parantapa. Translation: The personality of Godhead said, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy.
Thank you so much. So here, that's the important point. Why is Arjuna forgetful about his past life and Krishna is not? Arjuna is forgot everything. He forgot everything about his past. Why is it? There is a verse in Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. It says, Nityo nityanas chetana chetananam eko bahunam yo vidati kaman. Which is like the Supreme Lord is eternal and living beings are eternal. The Supreme Lord is cognizant, living beings is also cognizant. It's like both eternal, both are cognizant. Then, what is the difference between the Supreme and the conditioned soul? The difference is that the Supreme Lord is supplying all the necessities of life for many other living entities, which we cannot do. As simple as such, we cannot fulfill our own desires, but God can able to fulfill every individual's desires. He gives oxygen to everyone, irrespective of whether you are abusing him or appreciating him. He takes care of everyone. The associates here in this itself, we can see the translation. Here, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Arjuna is one among them. But in this verse, it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Vishwan, Arjuna was there. He was present in that time, but in a different capacity. So that's the reason a Lord remembered the incident, whereas Arjuna could not remember. So one might ask, like, if we both are eternal, we both are cognizant, then why? Because why I couldn't remember? How can he remembers everything? Because of this factor, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And he remembers things and we are not, because our capacity is limited to that. And if someone claims that he is God, you can catch them. You are not God. Why? You don't remember your past life and your body detroits. That doesn't happen with God. Oh, wait a minute. What does that mean? If you see this picture, we are the soul. We are not the body. We have a body. If I say I'm wearing a t-shirt or a shirt, that doesn't mean I am the t-shirt. Or I'm wearing a sari, which doesn't mean I am a sari. I have a sari. I'm wearing it. I am not that sari. Similarly, I have a body, but I am not the body. I am a spirit soul. Previous birth, I might got any body as like now I'm having a female body. In previous, I can be a fox, cat, worm, even an ant, a plant, a monkey. I don't know. But God remembers everything. Every minute cell is changing. Every cell is changing every 7 years. I'm getting a new body. According to researchers, the body replaces itself with a largely new set of cells every 7 to 10 years. And some of our most important parts are revamped even more rapidly. This is a source from Stanford University, Northrop. And the very, very fascinating thing is 98% of the atoms in the body are replaced yearly. There was a research done in 1950. The researchers made discovery by feeding their subjects radioactive atoms. So using the radiation detectors, they detected each atom the old atom is replaced with a new atom and ended up in all tissues of the human body. What is atoms? Atoms make up molecules. Molecules make up cell, and which makes tissues, and tissues make organ. So from atom to molecule to tissues to organ. Maybe if you are a mm, biological student, you might know the difference of what is tissue, what is atom. There is like Lawrence Brody. He's a PhD, a physicist, National Human Genome Research Institute says the problem is not that atom are getting old, but the structure is getting old. Why is that atom getting old? Why we are landed up here with this research? So if we think like from a scientific speculation perspective, we are saying atom are changing, cells are changing, we are reviving ourselves every 7 years. Then why am I getting old? So you are saying every 7 years my body changes, then I should be youth forever or I should be a child forever. How is that I'm getting old? That's where this researcher or this scientist says atom is not getting old, the structure is getting old. Little confusing, isn't it? What is that atom? What is the structure? So imagine you're building a sand castle. It has 4 walls, some nice torrents, central spire, a moat. You got to have a moat in it. So now the scientist says, now replace 100% of the sand with a new sand. Think about what would happen to the structure of the wall and the terrains. How well would the moat continue to function after you replace every sand with it? So accept this body. We will accept a body and leave the body. The soul, we will accept the body, leave the body. As you are seeing here in this picture, from the baby, we are accepting the body and we are leaving again, again, again. And in between accepting and leaving it here, we have full lot of desires to fulfill in between. And also matter how we are getting this body, it depends on our karma. If you are getting a good karma, last time we saw like we will be promoted to heavenly planet. If it is a bad karma, we will be going to the lower planet. Depend on that, we might get a body of a worm, cat or plant, whatever it is, or a human being. So everybody wants to live lavishly, right? Everyone might have a dream to build a big bungalow, not even a bungalow, even a one condo house for us, individual condo, not in sort of an apartment, or in a community where we have a swimming pool, gym, kids play area, everything inbuilt. We don't want to search for parking and a lavish car, not even lavish. We just want a basic model car. But we can't get it because we don't have money. Why is that? That is also based on our karma. One having so much money thinks money won't give happiness. One who does not have money thinks money will give happiness, so I want to earn more. So this cycle never end. Next, moving on to the next verse, 4.6. Wow, this is a wonderful verse. Prateep, would you like to read? Even if I call
Yeah,
anyone
sure.
Prateep. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I can
Thank
read
you.
it. Yes. Yeah. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam iswaropi san uh, prakritim swam adhishtaya sambhavami atmamayaya. Translation: Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form.
Thank you. You're reading Sanskrit awesome now. Very nice.
No, I had to practice a little bit. Okay.
Then you will become the pro, Sanskrit pro then. Now itself, it's like a pro reading. So here in this verse, Krishna is using the strong word at the beginning, aja, unborn, avyaya, without deterioration. Atma means his body. Bhutanam, all those who are born. Prakritim, in the transcendental form. Sambhavami, he is not saying I gave birth, like I have born from this. He is saying I do incarnate and Atma Mayaya by my internal energy. He's not saying like I born into this world by XYZ or so and so. He's telling I am incarnating by my energy, not by something else. Say if now we would be in our early 30s or late 30s, if we think about ourselves after 30 years, if we have any mission to check ourselves now and after 30 years, now we might be going for annual checkups. You might get cholesterol, a high BP, your pulse rate, or your heart might have a blockage, kidney won't be working, you have some lung issue. All the organs I'm having now, we will see slowly, it would have something. And after 30 years, something, one or the other thing won't work the same way, which is working right now. We have this, all the problems. just for one lifetime, one current birth. If I take like how I was before 10, 15 years, I was so active, I was jumping, running, how many steps I climb, I won't feel tired. But now, if I just climb 10 staircase, I'll feel little tired, heavily breathing. I have all this problem for just one lifetime. But Krishna is saying he uses the same body all the time. How is that? It's like Bhutanam Ishvara Pisan. Of all those who are born, the Supreme Lord, although being so. And he mentioned about the energy. He appeared by internal energy. Krishna has three energy: internal energy, external energy, and marginal energy. This internal energy is Radhani Shakti, which is Radharani. It's like this whole month, the Kartik month, is for Radharani. It's like a simple thing. If you remember, if you want some money, or if you want some permission to go for an excursion, or if you want permission to go to some of your friends' home, might everybody might have this experience when you were studying in school or colleges. You will directly reach your mom to ask for permission. Hey, I need money. Amma, I need money. I want to go on this excursion. It's my friend's birthday party. I want to get some gift. Or I got some low mark. Can you please get the signature from dad? So we all know mom is very affectionate and we can convince mom so quickly compared to the father. So this whole month is for Radharani. If you do a little bit sadhana, increase in little bit sadhana, Radharani is pleased very much and she will herself recommend for us to Krishna. So internal potency is Radharani. External potencies is the material world and universes. This material world, the caretaker is Durga Devi, and Krishna's external energy consists of all that is matter, the material world, the laws of material nature, material bodies, and so on. So, the material world is a tiny fraction of God's creation. So, we discussed internal and external. There is one more, which is the marginal energy. That is, we are the finite spirit soul, or expansion of Krishna's marginal energy. We can choose to live in the spiritual world or in the material world, or to put in another way, we can be deluded by matter or illuminated by the spirit. So, both the external energy, matter, and the marginal energy, we, soul, can become fully spiritualized by contact with internal energy, which is Radharani, through the acts of devotion to Krishna, that is Bhakti Yoga. So these are the energies. With this internal energy, Krishna appears. But the main thing is, we can't even remember what we did last week. If I ask anyone, like, can you tell me what you did last week, Sunday, like 10ish? We'll be thinking, like, I'm not sure. I might be in. Hmm. If we are having some regular classes, then we might know. If I ask you all what you guys did 5 o'clock Sunday evening, you might say I might be attending your class. But if I ask like, okay, Monday 12ish, 5ish, we are not sure. We don't even remember last week, wherein remember about past 10 years. But Krishna remembers everything. But we are claiming that we are so powerful. This is God. He can remember everything, and we can't remember anything. There is one funny thing. One person claims that he is God. I'll just show the video. I couldn't understand what he is saying, but This guy is claiming that he is the incarnation of Vishnu. He is the god.
You didn't share the sound, so couldn't hear.
Oh, you couldn't hear? Okay, 1 minute, Prabhuji. Share with the sound. Okay. So I will go back.
Mama. He is Kalki. Government officer Rameshra Pfeffer had claimed that he is Kalki, the 10th incarnation of Vishnu, and can't come to office because he is conducting a penance to change the global conscience. ત્યારે એ આ દેવી શક્તિના કે હનુમાનજીના જાપ કરવા દે નહીં તથા અધ્યાત્મમાં વિધિ વિધાન પ્રમાણે નિયમ છે કે જ્યાં સુધી દેવી શક્તિને આહવાન કરવામાં ન આવે જાપ દ્વારા ત્યાં સુધી દેવી શક્તિ નડતર.
Okay, I hope you heard this. So this person is claiming that he is the Kalki avatar. If we see closely this guy, I'll just go back again to the video. I couldn't see his hair. Okay. You can see he is bald, having lot of gray hairs, wrinkles in his face. But if you look at Krishna during this Mahabharat war, he is 100 plus. His age is 100 plus. But he is not wearing glass. Oh, I am also wearing glass. So I have an eyesight problem. Krishna never had eyesight problem. And this guy claiming as he is God, he is having lot of gray hairs, which means his body is deteriorating. Krishna is saying in this verse, my body won't deteriorate. He is having wrinkles. Krishna looks like a sweet 16-year-old boy. You can just take the Bhagavad Gita book to see, like in the first page, how Krishna looks like. He is always saying his body won't deteriorate. If someone is claiming that I am God, you can just show this verse. You are saying God, but you are having gray hair, wrinkle, like your body is deteriorating. But if you are God, this can't happen. And even many philosophers, Mayavadi philosophers, say that God don't have a form. He appears in the form of a light. If someone tells you that God don't have a form, you can show this verse. He is coming in transcendental form. He himself is saying that. He does not change his body as common living entity changes from one body to another. He has, like our individuals, conditioned soul will have a new body every birth. But Krishna is not like that. In our Mahabharat serial or Krishna serial, you might have noticed Devaki and Vasudev might be locked in a prison, and the light rays would be coming, and a baby would be there just crying. So it's not like that. There is no light for God. God comes in four-handed form. And why he needs to cry? Because our condition mind, we are seeing whenever some birth happen, baby will be born. As soon as the baby born, baby would be crying. So baby is crying, very good, like the doctor will say, yeah, he is breathing. But it is not like that. Krishna is not giving birth in that way. I will show you the reference. Give me a minute. If you see this verse, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 31 chapter. This verse states that this chapter is states how Krishna disappeared from this material world. Here it's saying, although Lord Krishna, being the possessor of infinite powers, is the only cause of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of innumerable living beings, he simply did not desire to keep his body in this world any longer. Thus, he revealed the destination of those fixed in the self and demonstrated that this mortal world is of no intrinsic value. So, Krishna here saying that how he is leaving the body, and in if you read that Canto 10, chapter number 3, that is appearance of Krishna, he is telling how he took birth. So Krishna appeared in the four-hand form, Vishnu form, holding his flute. He is exactly in his uncontaminated external body, eternal body, even though he is in the material world. In few of the religions, they have the faith that Krishna went to hell because of the activities he performed of stealing the butter. He was dancing with so many gopis. But Krishna is Achyuta. He does not fall from his position. All those philosophies and arguments are simply kicked out by just one verse from this Bhagavad Gita. So there is a very wonderful, beautiful story why Krishna appeared in Vishnu form. We are saying Krishna is the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Then he can appear in his two-hand form, right? Why he appeared in the four-handed form? Because you find the reason in the same 10th canto, 3rd chapter. Vasudeva and Devaki would have performed penance to have Vishnu as their kid. They asked for the Vatsalya Bhav, Vatsalya mood with the God. So to tell the devotees, you prayed and I am fulfilling that. He appeared in the same form which they prayed. And then Devaki and Vasudeva would pray back to Krishna, thank you, but please hide your four-handed form. Then he will become to the two-handed form. And we already discussed about these 4 defects which every one of us are having: imperfect senses, to be illusioned, tendency to commit mistake, and cheating propensity. Also, we discussed about the Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivi Kleshas one everybody would undergo. We have this 4 defect and we need to undergo the 3 Kleshas, miseries in this material world. But Krishna is not touched by any of this. Krishna don't have any of this 4 defect. Then we discussed about this, how is that we are different, or how is our body made from. As we discussed earlier, we are also eternal, we are also cognizant, but our body is not permanent. Our body is temporary. Krishna's body is permanent. If we say Satchit Ananda, eternity, knowledge and bliss, that is Krishna's body also, his soul also. But our soul is eternal, but our body is not eternal. We are not happy with this body in this material world. This is all temporary. If we take our body, we can see this earth, water, fire, ether, our outside gross bodies. Next comes our mind, intelligence, and ego. Next goes the soul. So as we know that soul is eternal. And that is what we discussed with this 4.6. Krishna has a form which is not material. How Krishna appeared in this world, then how Krishna left this world. That is also important to know when we are claiming that, if someone is claiming that I am a god, it's important to see how they are appearing, how they are disappearing. Krishna, all the pastimes, Krishna's birth and Krishna's death, everything is there in the Vedas. We can just refer it. And if someone is claiming and you are having a discussion with that person also, you can say that according to 4.6. So it is always very, very helpful to keep this, memorize these verses, to keep it handy, and you can use it whenever you want. So we are coming to the conclusion with this 6 verses. What is that we are revelation about Krishna? What is that we got to know? Where is the source of knowledge? Krishna reveals himself to devotees and friends. He is Bhakta Vatsala. He is unborn. Most importantly, he has a transcendental form which is not material. And we discussed about the energies of Krishna. Actually, two energies we discussed in detail. There are total three: internal, external, and marginal energies. Next, most importantly, we will show you this picture. If anyone is away from your screen, you can just focus now to the Zoom screen. You can see everything in one shot, one picture. In other religion, when the gurus are being asked, can you show God? Where is God? They will say God is up there, over there, above us. But Srila Prabhupada used to say, we even have the phone number of our God. We can directly contact him whenever we want. So you can see in this picture, this is Goloka Dham. You can see here. Next comes the Ayodhya Dham. Next, the Dwaraka Dham. Yeah, here you can see Ayodhya Dham, Dwaraka Dham, Goloka Dham. Then we have Madura. Next, we have Vaikunda. Kunda means miseries. Vaikunda means a place without miseries. Next, you can see the Brahma Jyoti, the Brahma effulgence or the light coming out of Brahmaji or from Krishna's effulgence. This is the Viraja river, which separates the spiritual world from the material world. So in this material world, you can see the Karana ocean. You can see this Viraja river, the Karana ocean. So this is basically one Brahmanda, just one pore. If you this take this in the Karana ocean, Karana Dakshai Vishnu would be lying down. And from his pores, each of the pore, one balls coming out like this. If you see the pores, everything is coming out this like this. I'm just moving my mouse. Hope you can see it. This each are universes. Think about if you take from here to here itself, how many pores I might be having. Think about how many pores Krishna might be having. In each of the pores, one universe coming out, and this is the structure of one universe. And Prateep was having this question like, how should I perceive this one universe? I'm getting confused. If you want to perceive with your mental speculation of our limited knowledge, you might need to calculate how many pores Krishna might be having. In that pores, how many universes might be coming out. In one universe, if we take separately, this one universe having 14 lokas. We are seeing here, Garbhodakshai ocean is lying here. From his navel, Brahmaji appeared. Brahmaji created the 14 lokas. We discussed about what are those 14 lokas in the last session. Middle planetary system, higher planetary system, lower planetary system. And here you can see Durga Devi, who is the caretaker of the material world. And we can see Shiva here, Lord Shiva. Then Ananta Shesha is, you can see here. So all the spiritual material world and how many universes, everything is given here in one shot. We can just refer here what I said. So this is where we are concluding the topic, who God is. The next topic, from next week, we can jump on to the next section of this, does he care? Stopping here, if you have any questions, then we can discuss on it. And anyone is interested or already signed up for this 3-step towards Krishna program? If anyone is interested to sign up, please send Chintan Prabhu a message. We are planning to start a call with whoever is interested. Then we can discuss a convenient time. There we can read and watch a lecture together and discuss on the open questions. So I hope 3, 4 were interested from the previous class. If anyone here, Kiran, Neetu, Pradeep, I think SGM is Sona. If you are interested, please let us know.
Yeah, sure. I already spoke with Chintan Prabhu. I'm interested in that. Yeah, I'll send a
Okay,
message.
awesome. Sure. You're one step ahead.
I'm actually second step, like with the exception of 1 point. So that's what.
Okay. So then you
Yeah.
are 2 step ahead. Awesome.
Oh,
And
yeah.
also like to say that we are having the morning japa call from 5:30. We will read Bhagavatam, and we have like 4 or 5 from this reading group joining the call. It is not must that 5:30 you should join at 5:30. You can take your time whenever you want to chant, like 5:30 to 6:30 we chant. Whenever you want to join, you can feel free to join and chant with devotees. Then we will read Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we will recite Bhagavad Gita. Everything will get over by 7:05. If you want to join, you should join after 5:30 and before 7:05. That's important when the call is running on. And as I said, this month is special month, Kartik month. I hope you might be doing offering the ghee lamp and singing the Damodar Ashtakam, which was shared in the group. If you are chanting like 1 round so far, you can increase it to 2 round this month. This is very auspicious month. And even one thing you do, this would get multiplied by hundreds and thousands this month. It's very, very auspicious month for performing any sadhana, any spiritual work. And Chintan Prabhu, do you like to add anything if I missed anything?
All of this stuff, yeah. We are just encouraging everyone to take their steps forward on the 3 steps program. It is a fast track program. Here we meet once a week. That is good, but we meet daily and progress. It will be much more better. It's a fast track, and in 1 year itself, like to November 2020, and you yourself can check yourself in November 2021 how much change is there in your life and how much transformation is there. Rather, I would say transformation. Change can be temporary. You can change and go back to that place, but transformation is permanent. So you would see transformation happening. The realizations would start happening. And other thing is, because we are starting it fresh, new here, this is the opportunity for you to take the first step. Sometimes we alone fear about what if I do it alone, or what if I fail. But if you are doing it together in a group, then you already have so much support with you. And with this Kartik month, it's a special month, so no better time to start this thing. So yeah, we are when anywhere you are stuck, we can discuss any questions, concerns you have. I would say at least give it a try, at least start it, and then if there are any challenges, Krishna will take care of it for sure. Thank you.
This month is very auspicious. Today is even more auspicious because today is Bahulashtami, appearance of Radha Kund. So if anybody wants to sign up but still thinking, should I do it or not? Make use of this Bahulashtami. Go ahead and sign up. Next, you will get this Bahulashtami next year.
You should just send a
So-
message in the group, right? I think that's
Yeah, just
Chintan
send a
Prabhu or-
message. Yeah, we will be also scheduling a meeting with everyone because Sona
Yes.
had suggested a thing that we should do it daily, and daily there should be a call or something like that. So we'll schedule a meeting with everyone, and we'll put that in the group. And those who attend that meeting, they will come to know. They will be able to decide, okay, this is the time of the day when we can come together. And if no one is coming together, I mean, no one agrees on a specific time, then we'll see who all can come together. They can come together and then make adjustments like that, or go on their own pace. Basically, we will be reading something specifically from Bhagavad Gita, watching specific lectures, and every 15 days we'll have a one-on-one discussion. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, as Prabhuji mentioned, this month is very auspicious, and today is even more auspicious. If anyone is thinking, please let us know and take your step today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Hari Bol. Have a happy week ahead. We'll then meet again next Sunday on
Thank you.
Govardhan Puja. Hari Bol.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hari Bol. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Oh, you